Three upper payment limits have now officially passed in state prescription drug affordability boards, or PDABs. After years of meetings, millions in taxpayer dollars, and repeated warnings from pharmacists, providers, and patients about access, reimbursement problems, and supply chain risks. The first PDAB was established in Maryland in 2019 and has spent over $11 million in operations through 2026. It wasn't until April of 2026 that the board made its first real move towards implementation, establishing an upper payment limit, or UPL, on Jardiance, a widely used diabetes medication. But in that same meeting, there may be an even bigger story. Farxiga, also a diabetes med, was considered for a price cap, but by the time the board had gotten around to voting on an upper payment limit, more than a dozen generic versions had already been approved by the FDA. The market solved the price problem before the PDAB could, driving the drug price down through competition. That speed gap is becoming a defining feature of these boards. Even board members themselves admit it. Here's what Maryland's PDAB chair had to say.
We have accomplished basically nothing. So for me, it is extremely frustrating because I feel like I'm the steward of the time and money, and the return on investment is terrible at this point in time.
Then there's Colorado, the state that became the national blueprint for upper payment limits after passing the first ever cap on Enbrel in October 2025. But since that vote, progress has largely stalled. Just a month later, the board's chairs resigned, multiple meetings have been canceled, and the state's now tied up in major litigation over whether these caps are even allowed or legal. And beyond the legal uncertainty, critics warn that caps themselves could create entirely new problems. UPLs cap what pharmacies and insurers pay for medicines, but they don't control manufacturing costs. This shifts financial pressure downstream, potentially forcing pharmacies to dispense drugs at a loss and causing insurers to restrict access to medication. In a filing to Maryland's PDAB, Boehringer Ingelheim warned that UPLs could financially squeeze health plans and trigger stricter prior authorizations, more utilization management, and unfavorable formulary changes that make it harder for patients to access treatment. Essentially, confirming the fears of patients and pharmacists. Affordable medicine matters, but after millions spent, years of meetings, legal battles, and mounting concerns about access to care, many are starting to ask whether PDABs are delivering real solutions or just creating more bureaucracy around a policy that may not even work. Learn more about this issue on our website at safemedicines.org.